Hi guys. Okay, trying this again. We had a little technical glitch, but hope y'all can see me. All right, I'm just gonna wait for everyone to join. Again, if you have questions about IIM and ISB MBA programs, keep your questions in the comment section down below. Okay, I'm sending a request. Alrighty. Can you see me?
Yes. Yeah, perfect.
Yay.
And I can hear you loud and clear. So
Perfect.
you're perfectly connected.
Awesome. All right, let's just do the intro once again since the previous live was not saved. So why don't you go ahead, Shruti, do introduce yourself and goal is B to our audience.
Yes, I'll do that. So I'm Shruti and I'm a consultant, admissions consultant with Goal ISB. So what we do is we help applicants who are applying to the MBA programs in India and abroad, and especially in India, the programs which accept the GMAT or the GRE scores. So in India today, you have a huge landscape. If you have work experience of around 3, 4, or 5 years, you will have a whole lot of around 14 or 15 programs that you can apply to within India itself. So this is what we are here to discuss today, and I would be happy to address all queries on any queries on these programs and the admissions process.
Awesome. Well, my question, let's start with this one, especially for our audience who is not Indian. Like, what sets ISB and IIM apart from the other top business schools across the globe?
Yeah, so if you compare an ISB and an IIM with other top schools across the globe, when you go about, actually choosing which location you want to pursue an MBA in, it is typically about where do you want, your career prospects for the rest of your career. So in terms of the next 4, 5, and up to 10 years, you should plan in that way because the main takeaway that an MBA program gives you is the network. So if you're looking at, looking at the biggest market space in India, in the world, that is India for sure. So if you have a venture, if you have plans of looking at, any business growth, I think you cannot ignore India today. And coming from an Indian B school, this is the biggest advantage that you'll have, that you'll be one of the crowd for the Indian landscape, the Indian business landscape, and very much acceptable to that. So this is, I think, the biggest plus that you have with the rest of the schools abroad. So sitting in the US, you want to come back to India, it's worthwhile doing an MBA from India itself. Why do it from anywhere else?
Makes sense. All right. Okay, so someone here already started asking questions, so pin them up. So they're asking, does GMAT work for IIM for foreign candidates?
Yes, so you can apply to the IIM 2-year programs as well if you are an NRI applicant. So basically what qualifies you to apply through the GMAT to the 2-year program would be that you would have spent 1 year at least, outside of India. So you would have spent it in a foreign university or working abroad. That would qualify you to apply through the GMAT. Apart from that, if you have work experience of around 3, 4, or 5 years, you can, of course, apply to the IIMs for the 1-year programs and through the GMAT itself. So these are 2 ways that you can apply to the IIMs as a foreigner candidate.
Got it. Perfect. Next question. If someone gets rejected in first round, can he or she apply with a better GMAT score in subsequent rounds?
The possibility of applying to subsequent rounds within the same application year. So only IIM Ahmedabad A PGPX program allows you to apply in subsequent rounds within the same year. There is a possibility of applying if you are eligible to the IIM Kozhikode, the IIM Kozhikode EPGP program as well as the IIM Lucknow IPMX program. So these are 2 or 3 programs that you can apply to, but very limited scope. If you get rejected in the first round, you technically cannot apply to a majority of schools. They only apply application once in the whole application year.
Gotcha. The question here. Does ISB accept GMAT online score, or do I need to take the exam from the test center?
ISB is accepting the GMAT online score. There is no problem as such. Only the IIMs and specifically A, B, have declared that they will not accept the online score. Apart from that, it is up to their discretion. So it is always good to have a word with them. But ISB definitely accepts the GMAT online score.
Understood. Okay, another question here. Approximately how many candidates are chosen for the ISB YLP program?
How many candidates are chosen for the ISB YLP program? We actually don't have a number, and me giving out a number over here, doesn't make really sense unless it is coming from a credible source like the school itself. So don't go into that. I think at the end of the day, you as an applicant should look at your strengths, your weaknesses, and your preparation. If you think you are appropriately, prepared for the ISB YLP program, you should go ahead and apply and, go into the take up that option. Otherwise, you can always apply a year later or maybe 3 years later. ISB has so many options that you can apply to for the PGP program.
Gotcha. Another question here. How many years of WorkX is required for IIM and ISB?
So the minimum qualifying years of work experience for ISB PGP is 2 years. So you need to have 24 months of experience to qualify for the PGP. For the IIMs, it slightly varies with respect to each of the schools. So IIM Kozhikode and IIM Udaipur, they require a minimum of 3 years of WorkX, while IIM Ahmedabad requires a minimum of 4 years of WorkX, and mostly the rest of them will require a minimum of 5 years of WorkX. So this is the minimum work experience requirement. Averages vary according to the program. So again, with a specific profile in mind, we can suggest a list of programs that you can apply to.
Gotcha. All right. Another question here. 2 years of experience, which is 1 year out of India. Am I eligible to apply for regular MBA in IIM with a GMAT score?
Yes. With 1 year abroad, yes, you can apply. The specific dates, etc., need to be checked in with the school, the designated guidelines that we have given. Apart from that, from what I see over here, yes, you can apply. If you have 1 year of international experience, you have been out of India, then you can apply to the 2-year MBA programs with the GMAT score.
Gotcha. All right. Preference to IIM ABC or ISB for 9+ years of WorkX?
So I have applicants with 9+ years of WorkX going to IIMs as well as ISB. And there are people who choose the IIM Calcutta over the IIMA, then they will choose IIMA over ISB, and then there are people who choose ISB over IIMA. It is very specific to what your career goals are and how you see learning, in the best possible manner. And an MBA at this particular juncture at 9+ years is a very hefty investment, not only in terms of the the money involved, but in terms of the career aspirations involved. So you should make that choice based on your particular scenario rather than a generic advice. So it is very important that you come up with your specific requirements for your career goals and see which school or which environment will suit best for this.
Gotcha. All right. Another question here. If I do not have any extracurriculars, does that hamper my chances at ISB PGP?
Not having any extracurriculars does not really hamper your chances directly. So it's important to understand here what is the contribution of the extracurriculars. So the extracurriculars tell us that yes, apart from your work, you have certain passion, you are passionate about certain things, and you do take out the time and the energy to follow those passions. Apart from that, another criteria is that where are you working? What environment are you working in? So we have had people working in the petroleum and oil and gas industry who are actually working in or manufacturing plants, who are working at such locations where they actually cannot pursue any extracurriculars. That's perfectly fine. So the contribution of extracurriculars is to talk about your passions, your interests, and how far you go to follow them. If your circumstances don't allow you to do that, I don't think the school will take you, penalize you for that. But if you do have the opportunity and if you do have very sincere interest, you should go ahead and follow them and see, how far you can take it along with your career aspirations.
Gotcha. All right. Someone's asking here, what is the cutoff date to take GMAT exam to apply for PGP 2024-25?
For ISP, I'm assuming this PGP is the ISP program. So for the ISP program, you can actually submit your submit your unofficial score with the application and then send your request the actual scores to be set to the school. So if you have your unofficial score by the deadline, then you can of course apply through that. That would be your cutoff date. Apart from that, just make sure that you have also requested the scores to go from the GMAT official site to the school. So this is going to be very important for that unofficial score to be validated by the school.
Gotcha. Right. Another question here. What main qualities do business schools look into a candidate? Very generic.
Very generic. But still,
Yeah.
if I want to address it, then I would say, divide it into two parts. One is your academics and one is what you do with your life. So if you are looking at your academics, then your GMAT, GRE score, and in addition, your GPA, your latest education, how well you have done in all of that, that is going to be one important criteria. So these are the numbers that we have and we can always evaluate. The things that we cannot really evaluate in a very generic manner are your career pursuits, the decisions that you make, the kind of leadership experiences that you have. So that comes across from your work experience, the quality of work experience. How far do you go at your work to stand out and to prove that yes, you are exceptional. Plus, apart from that, your extracurriculars and what do other people talk about you? What do your managers talk about you? That means your recommendation letters. So that is going to be equally important. Then again, all of this culminates into an interview where this is where we actually see whatever you have put on paper coming to life. So the interview must bring all of the aura that you have created on paper to life as well. So all of these qualities, your leadership qualities, your acumen, your academic capabilities, as well as how far you go to make things happen in life on a very, very generic level. This is what should address the question that you have.
Gotcha. Right. Another question. Average GMAT score with 5 years of work experience, 3 years abroad, and 2 years in India for IIM. I guess there should be a second part. Do you think I can get in? Which they've not asked.
See, average GMAT score is something that every school publishes. It ranges. If you look at the IIM, if we talk about the A, B, C, then I think the published GMAT average is around 697, 693, 713. So the range of scores, you can assume that a safe score would be anywhere from 690 upwards. That should be good enough for you. But if I say that an average GMAT score with a specific work experience and some years abroad, that is very hard to say, and plus that will be very presumptuous as well. So go with the numbers that the school is publishing and trust the process for having that decorum to choose the right people. So just go by the number of 690 plus. That should be good enough.
Gotcha. And also, like, there are more questions like this where they're just giving like a brief of their profile. So guys, I mean, it's hard to understand what exactly you've done just from one little text. So if you want like a more detailed approach, like contact Shruti after this live ends. Shruti, you can tell them how they can contact you, and yeah, you guys can have a conversation after this later.
Yes, actually, we have around 5 or 6 days in a week that we have, free profile evaluation calls. So you can always schedule one. So just reach out to us on our Instagram or on the website, that is isb.com. And I think you'll have we'll share a link. You can schedule a meeting, share the detailed profile with us, share your resume, your GMAT score or GRE score and your grades, and I think we can have a more detailed conversation on the specific plans that you have and anything else that you need to build on your profile as well. So feel free to do that.
All right. Can you please compare ISB and IIM in terms of international job markets and reputation?
International international job markets and reputation. So these things, you know, the international job market is very volatile, and these opportunities keep on changing every year. So if we look at the most recent years so far, the international job opportunities that you get right out of college are probably, you know, at a level that you can plan for in some way, but cannot aim for maybe. So you have to be open to and flexible for the options that come right on campus. However, having said that, you know, these schools, ISB and IIM, they prepare you for a larger picture than this. Spend 1 year in the industry and you have the whole international job market open to you. You know, the caliber that you have and the exponential growth that you will have once you graduate and spend 1 or 2 years in the industry, you will be able to, you know, understand exactly the recognition that these programs have. I don't see anywhere that you'll fall short of anything, but the immediate opportunities are very volatile and they keep on changing year on year. So you need to be flexible when you go in and probably, you know, plan as and when you are on the third or the fourth term as to where you want to apply.
Gotcha. All right. Another question. So this person's saying that they do not have any publications. Does it hamper their chances at IIM, ABC, or ISB?
If you look at the specific application requirements, there is actually no requirement of any publications. So they are not looking for any publications as such. Again, having publications is again, you know, a benchmark of how far do you go. So for example, if you are interested in researching a certain topic, you need to be able to, you know, if you have a publication, it shows that yes, you have benchmarked your knowledge against the rest of the people around. That is a sign of that itself. Not having any publication does not hamper your chances at all. You should look for things that you have rather than just, you know, just comparing with others. See things that you have and see how you can, you know, talk about those and realize how that adds value to the MBA experience. If you do that, I think that is good enough.
Perfect. Okay. Another question. Do re-applicants need to submit the GMAT score again?
If you're talking about the ISB, re-applicants do not need to submit the GMAT score again. If you have sent the GMAT and the GMAT has not changed, if you have retaken the GMAT and you've re-attempted and you want to send a new score, then you should send it to the school. Otherwise, ISB does not require you to send a GMAT score again. However, for the IIMs, they do want you to send the GMAT score again. So it is, you know, best to have your specific list of schools and look at the specific guidelines that they have offered so that you don't miss out on that.
Gotcha. All right. Okay, so this next person's asking how many words are required for a recommendation letter for IIM Bangalore?
There is actually, I don't think there is any word limit on that. 2 years prior to this, there was around 200 or 250 words that was required. And last year, when the application started, there was a certain technical glitch which required 400, 500 words. So you should give them the leverage of being candid about their experience with you and use as many words as required. I don't think they will fall short of words anyway.
Okay, got it. So this next person's again giving like a little brief about them. They're saying that I'm a lawyer with 3 years of work ex, GPA 6 out of 8, and have been a legal head manager after 1 year of work ex. How much of a GMAT score would be enough, and what else can I do to increase my chances?
So I'm assuming that you are planning to apply to ISB with 3 years of work experience, and how much of GMAT score would be enough? Again, you know, GMAT is something that we cannot predict. As of you know, me sitting here and telling you that okay, get a 740 or a 750, that's very easy to say. You need to see where you are on your preparation and what is the best that you can put up. Always to benchmark your GMAT score, it is always good to be, slightly above par on the average. So don't go with the minimums. Try and see how you can position yourself competitively. So if you go beyond the average of the school, which is around 710 or 720, that is going to be very good. And then again, see how far you get and what is the best that you can come up with. I think at some point in time, people do tire of the GMAT preparation, and they do have to take a call that, okay, now with this GMAT, where am I applying and how am I applying and how much time you spend on the application. So there are many other aspects that you need to look into when you're applying to ISB or any other B school. So look into those and give that equal amount of time. That is what I'll suggest.
Gotcha. All right. Okay, next question. Which one is more favorable in terms of chances of an admit for a 10 plus year of WorkX, IIMs or ISB?
More favorable in terms of chances. So I have had applicants with 10 plus years and up till around 16 years going to ISB as well as IIM. I don't think, none of the schools are aversive to that. What you need to see is how well have you prepared. So at 10 plus years, there are a lot of things that come into the picture. One is, have you been in a certain sector which is now outdated? If it is outdated, then how have you prepared, for the next journey beyond that? So if you're ready to prepare for that, and if you're ready to show that yes, you are an agile professional and agile individual, and you are very keen on taking up a certain course, I don't think ISB or IM, they will fail you in any way. They will definitely be very keen on looking at your application. So I don't see any limitation of 10 plus years. The limitation is more of your preparation. You need to be ready to prepare for all aspects of the application equally.
Okay, and again, guys, reminder, if you want to, dive in a more deeper conversation about your profile, get on a call with Shruti separately after this live session. Shruti, you can mention the details like in the comment section or description after in this live or even after the live ends. So I'll bring up till then the next question. Okay. So this person's asking, is having 2 years of WorkX a drawback for ISB since it only satisfies the minimal requirements?
Again, it is not a drawback for ISB. What again you need to look into is, are you prepared at this point in time in your career for an ISB? So, for the ISB MBA, if you think you are at the right point in your, career growth, that yes, now this will give you that next push towards the career trajectory that you are planning. And plus you have enough credentials to go with it. So that means you would have your work experience should be stellar. You should have things to talk about in your work experience. Your GMAT or GRE score should also be should also be very competitive. If all of that is competitive, go ahead and apply. There are people getting in at 2 years of experience, and if you look at the ISB intake, around 24% of the class is up to 3 or 4 years of experience. So that means 2 years is something that they take. It's not a drawback in any way.
Also, someone was asking if you could share your email and the GMAT Club later thing.
I'm just putting that.
I'm asking you that, but yeah, they're asking for your email for sure. Guys, I'm not giving my personal details. Sorry. All right. So then I'll pick up the next question. So this person's asking, are there any LORs required? I guess for both.
Yes. So if we look at the IIMs as well as ISB requires only one letter of recommendation, and IMA does not require any letter of recommendation. They will only require your recommender details. As far as the rest of the IIMs are concerned, most of them will require 2 letters of recommendation. So these are professional LORs. So you need to take them from somebody who has worked with you at a professional in a professional setting, and that too they should be able to talk about your work. So when you're talking about the LORs, it is very important to note that the designation of your recommender actually is not as important as your interaction with the recommender. So, always when you're choosing your recommenders, think about the people who have actually witnessed your work. They have, you have reported to them at some point in time. And for some of your important projects, they should be able to talk about how you worked, how you compare to other people around you, things that you're good at, things you're not too good at, and that too at a very candid level. So go ahead and I think this is the number of LORs that you require, nothing much. Academic LORs are not required for these.
Gotcha. All right. Okay, another question here. So how easy is it for foreigners to get into ISB in terms of percentage?
So far, I don't think we have a percentage. ISB has not yet given a percentage of how many foreigners they are taking in. But at that same point in time, it is equally competitive. I don't say that it is easy because, again, you do qualify as a foreigner if you're an Indian who's planning to come up, back to India and after having some work experience abroad, or if you are a foreign national as well. Now, the point that comes here is, why are you choosing ISB and why do you choose India? So, the point that you need to draw towards, in the whole application and the interview process is, what exactly is getting you to coming to India or coming to an ISB, whether it is a network, whether it is your aspirations, the career goals that you have. If all of that is well connected, it is very easy. If that is not well connected, it will not be that easy.
And I guess IIM does have like a certain cutoff, right, for foreigners, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, so this cutoff has been published by IIM Ahmedabad. That is for the 2-year MBA program. There they require a minimum of 720 on the GMAT. But as far as if you look at the 1-year MBA programs, there is no such cutoff which has been declared as of now, because international experience is something that is valued for any B school. Again, assuming that that is enough to get in is probably not the right way to go at it. You should have a proper justification, justification as well as a case in point, as to what are your plans and why do you want to come back to India. So that is something that is going to be important anyways.
Okay, another question here. What's the most important part of the application while applying to IIM and ISB?
So again, this is a business school that you are applying to. So what is going to be most important is, why you are looking at an MBA. Why in this at this point in time in your career do you want to go in for an MBA, and how do you how do you differentiate yourself, and how do you stand out among the rest of the applicants? So seats are very limited at the IIMs. If you look at the cohort size, it ranges from 75 to 148. This time Ahmedabad has around 148. That is the intake. And at ISB itself, the whole cohort might be 900, but there is a mix of people that they take in. So across this bandwidth, how do you qualify as the best person who should get in? That is something that the schools will be looking at very closely. And if you justify that throughout your application and your interview, you are in.
Okay. Okay, I need to check. Okay. So this person's saying, I have 2 years of experience in unorganized sector. Can I end up in ISB? Please guide me. I worked in the education sector.
So I have had people working in the education sector going into ISB as well. Again, it is a very specific case in point of, what exactly is your work profile like and how unorganized has been that sector, what your work experience has been like, what institutions you have worked with. So it is, best if you do get in touch for a one-on-one. And I think this question can be addressed in that way. If all things are at par with the rest of the applicants that ISB is looking at, technically coming from an unorganized sector or coming from a freelancing background or coming from, a diverse background does not really stop you from getting into ISB. Again, specifics need to be looked into. So I can only comment on that once I have that information.
Okay. Diverse industries experience, is it good or bad?
Diverse industries experience it can be good, it can be bad. Now, if I have shifted around 5 or 6 jobs within 4 years, raises a lot of other questions. Technically, just having a diverse industry experience is going to be good. Depends on what your takeaways are and what your duration of work experience is, did you actually work in any industry for as long? Did you, that you really got some takeaways? So how frequently you have switched and why those switches have actually been done, all that also needs to be addressed. So again, this becomes a case in point for a very specific profile evaluation. So feel free to get in touch if you want a more detailed, call on this.
Gotcha. And I'll take the last question. And guys, I know I must have skipped quite a few here and there. So again, the numbers down below, schedule a call, ask your questions there. And yeah, so this is the last question. Do both IIM and ISB have good exchange program options?
Yes. So given the duration of the program, that is 1 year, you have ample opportunities for exchange program options. The schools have very specific tie-ups and options that they give, and these two keep on changing on a year-on-year basis. So it is always good to conduct that research before you decide that that is a main priority of for you. But more or less, if you are looking at an international exposure within that 1 year duration, with everything else packed in, like the curriculum and your placements and your leadership goals, all of that inclusive, then I think you have ample options to explore international exchange.
Awesome. Okay. We managed to answer most of the questions here. So Shruti, do you have any last minute tips or advice for our Instagram audience?
Yes. So what I would like to say here is that, the first thing that you need to do is don't benchmark yourself with anybody else who has gotten. Look into your profile, look into your pluses and your minuses. You need to work on your minuses. It is not that anybody can guarantee getting into an IM or an ISP, not even your 760 or 780 GMAT score. So work equally, take up all the aspects of the application process equally important. Work on your essays, work on your skills, look at yourself from the recruiter's point of view as well, and then also on the interview. So if you have a tight story and if you are able to communicate it on paper and in person, I think you have all the chance to get in. Don't stop yourself by benchmarking yourself against anybody else who has gotten it. That's what I'll suggest. And feel free to get in touch for any individual assistance or suggestions that you require.
Awesome. Well, okay. So this number right here and your email address will be gone once the slide is saved. So feel free to comment it after this session appears on our page.
I'll
But
do
okay,
that.
thank you so much, Shruti. This was so much fun, and I hope to see you again soon. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Bye-bye.